Welcome back to Little Nightmares, me Queen Nightmare, and I'm sorry I didn't record this sooner, but I finished up all my classes beforehand, and I feel really good about it. I don't know what it is. Right when I start to record, I just start to burp out of nowhere. It's probably me just trying to stay afloat on what I'm saying and say it really fast, and then all of a sudden I suck in a deep breath, and then I just do that. By the way, I want to know your opinion on Crenny stories. If you don't know what Crenny is, it's Craig X. Kenny X Craig, and it's one of my favorite ships out of the South Park ships of all. Just because I love Craig and I love Kenny, and it's a perfect match because Craig is just so fucking awesome, and then Kenny will just kill you. Oh my gosh, you killed Kenny, you bastards. Wrong one. But that's what I wanted to tell you. And hey guys, before I continue this video, I wanted to say this. There's a big, huge warning after the 52-minute mark of it getting into very, talking about abuse and people getting hurt and some devil's tangle abuse. I didn't know it until it was too late, and I was actually saying it. There was no warning on the chapter, but I just want to say this is a big thing. Also, there's a big surprise at the end, so stay tuned for the whole thing, and you'll get to see the big surprise. I will mention it later in the video, but I'll see you then. Bye, guys. It's midnight, by the way. Midnight, 12:20, pretty much. We're going to be reading, sorry, oh my gosh, why did I pick this one? You know what? It's a long story. Screw it. It's called Hold My Hand. It's a Drarry Fanfiction. It's a complete one. It's a potions accident gone wrong. Leaves Harry and Draco holding hands for a month. The two enemies are forced to share a room, sit at tables together, and share classes. Tensions rise, but will the two prevail? And can they become more than just enemies? Oh, absolutely. Sorry. The writer, underscore the underscore Drarry underscore life underscore, also has, not links, but different translations like Polish, Spanish, Chinese, Burmish, Italian, Persian, and Portuguese translations, and they have the of where you can find it, which I think is a really good idea because some of them that I want to read are in a different language, like Spanish, and I'm like, I can't read all of this. I'm sorry, some words I don't understand. So I would like that to be a thing, like all the different stories in different languages. Anyways, chapter 1. Draught of Connection. Harry saw it a split second before Malfoy. Their cauldron was going to explode. Him and Malfoy both reached out to grab the beetle wings and 10 minutes earlier. Snape's cold eyes swept the classroom. Today we will be making a draught of connection. Does anyone know what this is? Hermione's hand shot in the air. Snape pointedly ignored it. Anyone? Hermione huffed and stood on her desk. My goodness! Miss Granger! Wait, what? How is he still alive? Did something happen? I love this. Wait. Is anyone just... What the hell is this? Hold on. Someone said, "Gosh, I'd let her do things to me." Queen, huh? The bitch fall. Okay. Miss Granger! She glared at him. It is 8th year. My last year, and I've gone through a lot scarier than you. So I just suggest you shut your trap and let me continue. Snape's jaw dropped. The Draught of Connection is a potion similar to Love Potion. However, unlike Love Potion, a Draught of Connection only works if the people involved have chemistry. It will connect their souls in a temporary process that causes them to be helplessly in love with each other for 24 hours. It is often used to find out if someone has a crush on you. She glared at Snape and sat back down in her chair. Snape's mouth worked for a moment before he nodded. Indeed, Miss Granger, thank you. You will be brewing a diluted 10-minute version of this, testing it on your partners. The ingredients and steps are on the board. If your cauldron looks ready to explode, add beetle wings and continue with the potion. Begin. Harry got up and grabbed ingredients and came back, dumping them on his and Malfoy's shared desk. Malfoy said nothing, only stared, chopping the dragon scales. They chopped and poured for about 5 minutes, and then it happened. Harry saw a split second before Malfoy. Their cauldron was about to explode. Harry, him and Malfoy both reached out to grab the beetle wings, and the boys looked down in horror at their hands. The entire class stared at them. Draco Malfoy and Harry Potter were glued together by their holding hands. Okay, well, shit, yeah. Damn it. Oh my, will you excuse my sympathy for this? I'm gonna take a drink break. Step. They should really call it step 2, because they failed at a potion. It's their steps. Maybe it's just me, though. Chapter 2. Holding hands. Snape stood up quickly and rushed over to the boys. Potter, he barked. Did you add the bat wings before stirring? Harry was rather distracted by the fact that his hand was friggin' glued to the bloody Malfoy. Yeah, I guess. Malfoy put his head in his good hand. Shit. Snape huffed. Get down to the hospital wing, the both of you, now. They left silently. As they walked down the halls in silence, questions piled in Harry's head until finally he got up the courage to ask one. Malfoy, what do I do to make us, He held up his conjoined hands. Like this? Malfoy seemed surprised that he had accepted it was his fault, that he had phrased the question so civilly. Surprising Harry, he actually answered. Adding the bat wings before stirring changed the whole recipe. It set off the delicate balance between newt eyes and salmon. Why couldn't I say that? I saw the L and it messed me up. I'm sorry. Salmon scales, causing the explosion. Before stirring it, it changed the recipe. So, as far as I can guess, instead of bonding souls, it bonded. He also held up his conjoined hands. Something physical, as in our hands when we both reached for the beetle wings. Since the potion was made for romantic connection, it did the best it could with two hands. It connected them as if two lovers were holding hands. Harry nodded. The explanation made enough sense, except, Malfoy, the potion was made for people with chemistry, but we obviously don't. We hate each other, so why did it work? Malfoy seemed surprised at the logical stated question. He actually seemed to think it over. The best explanation I have is that either we have chemistry and we don't know about it. Here Harry and Malfoy both rolled their eyes. Or it was because we hadn't finished yet. They had reached the hospital wing. Malfoy used his hand since he was the one with a right hand to hold the door open. Oh, that would suck. I do everything with my right hand. Ugh. I'm right-handed. That would suck. Ugh. Poop. They had reached the hospital wing. Malfoy opened the door since he was the one with the right hand to open the door. Madame Pomfrey glanced up at them. Oh dear, you two haven't been in another fight, have... Here she broke off at the moment both boys realized why. She was staring at their conjoined hands. I don't know, well, at least you aren't fighting, but then why are you... Madame Pomfrey, Harry interrupted. A featured student, let's just say that. A feature most students didn't dare do. There was a potions accident and mine, Malfoy's and my hands were glued together. Malfoy quickly went over what he had told Harry on the walk over. Madame Pomfrey listened sympathetically and nodded when he was finished. However, when she opened her mouth to comment, the doors to the infirmary opened to reveal Snape, McGonagall, and Dumbledore. Snape growled low. Well, Mr. Potter, it appears that when you added... Draco already explained it to me, Professor. Snape looked surprised. Did he? Well, he started to leave, but stopped and turned. One more thing, gentlemen. Well, our potion was supposed to last 10 minutes, then the explosion prolonged it. Oh, no! No! Harry felt Malfoy stiffen. How much longer? Snape looked irritated. Instead of being 10 minutes, it will be 10, weeks. What? Malfoy and Harry and Malfoy both shouted. I can't stay with him for 10 weeks, Harry protested. There is no way I can tolerate being around him that long, Malfoy cried at the same time. Dumbledore held up his hand. You will be given your own room so as to reduce fighting about where you will sleep. So as to reduce fighting about where you will sleep. I'm reading sentences over again. I'm sorry. You are expected to figure out where you will eat and how you spend your free time. Your classes will be changed to accommodate. You are also excused from said classes for a week to adjust. Professor McGonagall looked at them sternly. Come now, I'll take you to your rooms. Rooms? You must be meaning room, because they can't separate, you moron. It's a commercial, so I'm going to do one thing first. So, there's 4 weeks in a month. Wow. should I do 7 times 4? So there's 4 weeks in a month. There's times 12 months. It's 48 weeks. So minus 10 divided by 4. So they'll be together for about less than 3 months. Okay, that's not that bad. I could have just added it together. It's 2.5, but I wanted it to be super sciencey. Okay, Chapter 3, Obstacles. Day 1. McGonagall had left them in their room nearly an hour ago, and neither Harry or Malfoy had moved from the edge of the bed where they both sat. Harry supposed the room they were given was big, nice enough. Cream walls and dark blue rug. A single bed with dark blue covers that reminded Harry of his predicament. Sorry, I can read. Predicament was in the middle of the room. A cream nightstand was on either side, one for each boy. Against one wall is a long desk with two dark blue chairs and 2 cream dressers. A dark blue chess table sat next to the desk. The joined bathroom had a shower, a toilet, and a sink. His boys' luggage was on the bed, sitting behind them. Harry sighed, breaking the frigid silence. "Can we put away our stuff?" Malfoy started and came out of whatever daydream he was in. I think they mean he was startled. Malfoy was startled and came out of the whatever daydream he was in, probably involving being very far away from Malfoy. Yeah, I guess. They both stood and grabbed their suitcases. They set them on their dressers. Harry reached out with his left hand and attempted to open his suitcase, but only succeeded in pulling it towards him. He jerked harder, still nothing. "Oh, for fuck's sake," he shouted momentarily, forgetting his company. Malfoy glanced over, looking amused. "Problems, Potter?" Harry growled at him. "Shut up, Malfoy." Malfoy rolled his eyes at him. "You're a wizard. Use your wand." Harry sighed. Oh, this is how I feel sometimes. "My wand," he pointed at a suitcase, "is in there." Malfoy seemed to realize he was also in the same predicament, but because he promptly punched his suitcase. "Shit!" Harry sighed. "Will you hold down my suitcase for me?" Malfoy seemed confused, but did as Harry asked. Harry tugged the tugged on his zipper on his suitcase. Malfoy held it in place. He unzipped it and pulled out his wand and flicked it at Draco's suitcase, and it opened. Malfoy looked surprised. Thanks?" Harry shrugged. "I don't want you to have a tantrum. I hear every rich kid does." Malfoy smirked. "Well, I've heard you're loaded, Potter, and I haven't seen you throw a tantrum yet once." Harry grinned. "Well, you didn't see me when I had to break into Gringotts." He rose his voice to a high-pitched rich boy voice. "But Hermione, there's a dragon. I don't want to get my 100 galleon robes burned, So early in the week. Both boys laughed, but then they froze and stared at each other. Did you just make a joke, Potter? Malfoy asked slowly. Did you just laugh at my joke? Harry replied just as slowly. Malfoy shook his head widely. You're not allowed to be funny, Potter. We're not friends. Harry stated. Enemies. Draco agreed. We should be arguing. Harry replied. Draco nodded. They stared at each other. And now we're agreeing. Malfoy shrieked, clutching his face. It's the end of the world, bitches. Chapter 4, Issues. After the boys had gotten all their stuff put away, they sat on the bed again. Oh, by the way, at the end of this video, there is a nice video that I took a video of my mom looking at something that I got. So I'm just gonna show that at the end of the video. I just wanted to point that out. What would my mother think of me? After the boys had gotten all their stuff put away, they sat on the bed again. What would my mother think of me? Malfoy muttered to himself. Getting myself glued to you, of all people. Harry bristled. I saved your damn life, Malfoy, as well as the rest of the wizarding world, he said coldly. And she and you should be damn well honored. Well, you don't even have a mother, Potter, so how'd you know? Oof. Oof. Ow, my heart. Oh, no, just stabbed and twisted that one. Harry reacted without thinking. He tried to pull back his right arm and hit Malfoy, but instead he pulled back. A searing pain went through it as he attempted to pull away from Malfoy's hand. Both boys screamed and clutching their arms. My gosh! Malfoy gasped. That was almost as bad as getting the dark mark. A moment later, he realized that he had said what he had said and turned to light pink. Forget I said that. Harry stared at Malfoy's left arm, the one attached to his. He slowly reached over when Malfoy did not stop him, and when Malfoy did not stop him, pulled up his sleeve. There was the dark mark. There the dark mark laid, black, almost pale skin against pale skin. I'd forgotten, he whispered. Malfoy was quiet, then whispered, I wish I could. We all have our scars. Harry murmured, looking at the black snake, distractedly. Malfoy scowled. Well, not all of us are famous as yours. For ours. Harry shook his head. I have more scars most people don't know about. Malfoy rolled his eyes. Look, if this is some dark hero with internal scarring thing, I do want to hear. Nope. Harry interrupted, smiling. He enjoyed this kind of argument with Malfoy. More friendly banter than wands drawn battle. The scars I'm referring to are on the hand joined with yours. Malfoy lifted their conjoined hands and studied them for a moment before he saw the pale white scratches. I must not tell lies. Potter, Malfoy whispered, shocked. Did you do this to yourself? Harry smiled bitterly, in a sense. Why? Malfoy hissed. Damn, bitch, calm down. Harry explained about Umbridge, their argument, her punishment, and his revenge. Malfoy laughed when he was done. Not a cruel, mocking laugh, but a genuine, amused laugh. It shocked Harry. Seriously? That's awesome. His smile faded. However, when his gaze went to his hand. But how could she do that to you? He seemed to catch what he had said, almost a compliment. So he quickly corrected it by adding, I mean, obviously you're the savior of the wizarding world and all that, but who would dare mess with you, the great, your Harry Bloody Potter? Harry smirked. You seem to enjoy messing with me. Very much for 7 years. Malfoy's face changed into something Harry couldn't read. About that. Suddenly the door burst open. Harry! Hermione ran to them to give him a hug. I heard about... Oh my gosh. What? Both Harry and Malfoy had screamed loudly the moment she had touched Harry. My gosh, that one was worse than yeah. Harry had slammed his free hand over Malfoy. My gosh, that one was worse than the Harry had slammed his free hand over Malfoy's mouth before he could say the dark mark. Malfoy realized that what he had been about to say and shot Harry a quick, grateful look. Hermione and Ron looked worried. Harry, what the bloody hell was that? Ron cried. Oh, yeah, he tried to hug her back. That's what it was. Oh, yikes. I'm thinking about it because, I had, some skin rip-off once. Oh, it's not fun. Ron cried. Harry shook his head. I don't know. Hermione touched me and it... Oh, she just touched me and it felt like a white, hot iron pressed against my skin. Ron looked at them. May I? They nodded and he brushed Malfoy's arm over his shirt. Both boys screamed loudly again. Ron snatched his hand back. Good gosh! Harry gasped. It's worse than Crucio. Draco shot him another look. One Harry couldn't read, and said, it's the bond. Since the bond is meant for two people deeply in love, two who would never cheat, no one can touch them in any way until they consummate the bond. Oh dear gosh. Oof. This is gonna get saucy. Hermione gasped. I can't hug Harry. What if he brushes someone in the halls? What if he wears layers to cover his skin? Is there a spell to reverse it? Ron groaned. You and Harry have to consummate the bond? He looked ready to vomit. How do you consummate the bond? Harry asked innocently. The three other people in the room stared at him. Bitch, what the fuck? You don't know that? Seriously? Malfoy said in disbelief. Ron glared at him. He was raised by muggles. So was Granger and she knows. I read. Yeah? I've heard it's all you do. No wonder you're single. Don't talk to her like that. Guys, Harry shouted. How do you consummate a bond? Malfoy rolled his eyes. There are 3 steps to consummate a bond. Step 1 is to fall in love with the person. Harry groaned. Oy. Step 2 is a kiss and a gift, added Ron. Harry's eyes widened. Seriously? I love how calmly she says this. Step 3 is sexual intercourse. Hermione stated calmly. What? Harry choked. And Malfoy rolled his eyes. Honestly, Potter, we don't have to do any of that. In 10 weeks, we will be free. We just can't touch anyone in the period of that time. Hermione frowned. You need to tell Dumbledore and McGonagall and Snape and Malfoy's parents. And Hermione, Harry said at the same time. Harry said at the same time. Malfoy sighed. Granger. We're tired, he said. We can tell them tomorrow. Hermione frowned. Oh, you won't remember. I'll tell them. The second they left, Harry snorted. She's so smart, yet I can play her so easily. Malfoy looked mildly impressed. Whatever, I'm gonna go take a shower. Whatever, I'm gonna go take a shower. He was cut off, and his eyes widened in horror as did Harry's. Potter, how are we supposed to shower? No. No. Oh, sorry, I had a yawn. I had a big one. There we go. And here. Chapter 5, Shower. This chapter is dedicated to Chloe Clego because she made me realize I need to keep writing. Thank her for making me continue by following her, please. Thanks, everyone, for reading. That was the author's note. I just read it, and you probably are like, you know who this person is? And I'm like, no. Well, shout out to Chloe Clego, I guess, from this person's writing. Thank you, because this story was just getting interesting. And there's, by the way, there's 50 parts of this, and we're only on chapter 5. Harry groaned. I don't know, fuck. How did we not think of this? Malfoy sighed loudly and put his head in his free hand. We have to shower, so yeah, what if one of us just stands outside? Malfoy suggested tiredly. Harry was uncomfortable, but he nodded in agreement. Malfoy walked into the shower. You can shower first, Harry said quietly. Malfoy smirked slightly, opened his mouth, probably to say something like, "Of course I will." A Malfoy never showers second. But upon seeing Harry's defeated expression, his face relaxed into something almost like sympathy. He simply replied, "Thanks, Potter." Harry gave a small smile. What are enemies for? Malfoy snorted softly and started the water. He looked really uncomfortable. Potter, could you... Oh! Harry blushed dark. I'm going to say blushed crimson. Yeah, of course. Sorry. He stared at the ground and closed his eyes tightly. Sorry. Dang. Malfoy snorted softly and started the water. Wait, what? Oh. He stared at the ground and closed his eyes tightly. There was a soft rustle of Malfoy carefully removing his clothes. When he got to his left sleeve, Harry heard a whisper, "Diffindo," and a soft rip of clothing, followed by "Reparo." Malfoy, stepped into the shower and spent about 20 minutes. How can you spend 20 minutes in the shower? Did you know that every minute that your shower is running, it's a gallon of water? That's why I don't take long showers at all. I can't take a 20-minute shower. I feel guilty because that's 20 gallons of water down the drain. But I don't go do it too fast too, so. Ouch, I hit myself in the nose. When he finally got out, Harry laughed slightly. "Good gosh, Malfoy, what took you so long?" Malfoy tried to sound irritated, but Harry could hear the faint smile in his voice. "Well, I could only use one hand. I have to wash my hair very thoroughly." Harry didn't reply. He was imagining Malfoy's hair in his head as he stepped in the shower. Platinum blonde, and it always looked soft. Malfoy stopped slicking it back, and now it looked amazing. All Harry could think about now was Malfoy's hair and how soft it looked, and suddenly he was imagining running his fingers through Malfoy's hair. He didn't know why, but his brain substituted this image with one of him twisting his fingers. What just happened? What is going on? Okay, going back. All Harry could think about now was Malfoy's hair and how soft it looked, and suddenly he was imagining running his fingers through Malfoy's hair, and he didn't know why, but his brain substituted this image with one of him twisting his fingers in Malfoy's hair and tugging it. The images in his brain got more and more sexual, and Harry couldn't stop them, and then Malfoy's voice cut in. It's been 20 minutes, Potter. Almost done. I'm tired." Harry froze. "Yeah, almost," he managed to choke out. Realizing he hadn't done anything, he was confused, because how would he think of pulling Malfoy's hair? Why was he so alarmed, and how was he going to get rid of his erection? Ooh. Oh my! Chapter 6, Nighttime Activities. Fuck, shit, fuck. Yeah, same. How was he gonna get rid of his fucking erection with Malfoy right there? He carefully pulled on his clothes. Once he made sure his pajama bottoms covered up his erection. "Okay," he said. "You can open your eyes." Malfoy's gray eyes fluttered open, meeting Harry's green ones. Malfoy had washed the gel out of his hair, and it was now half dry and looked amazingly soft. Harry wanted to touch it so bad. And in parentheses, there are other things of Draco's Harry wants to touch really bad. I'm sorry, I had to. I mean, same. I'm glad. I'm gonna brush my teeth, Malfoy said slowly, slowly confused as to why Harry was staring at him like that. Harry snapped out of it. Yeah, me too. After the boys had brushed their teeth, they stared at the bed for a minute. Malfoy sighed. How fun! Due to their conjoined hands, Harry was on the left side of the bed, and Malfoy was on the right. Potter, Malfoy's voice cut through the darkness of his room. What? I usually read before I go to sleep. Do you think I could? Harry sat up and turned on the light on his nightstand. Thank gosh. I usually draw something before I go to bed. Malfoy turned on his light too, but I don't have any books. And I don't have my Harry trailed off. He opened his nightstand drawer and his face lit up. I don't believe it. What? Malfoy was curious. Check your drawer, Harry replied, grinning. Malfoy opened it and saw a stack of books. He broke into a smile. Amazing! I only needed one hand for drawing, Harry said. You can use the conjoined one for reading. Malfoy smiled faintly in thanks, but then frowned. But you're right-handed. What are you going to draw? What are you going to draw? I'm right-handed in everything but drawing, Harry replied. Then I use my left hand. Oh, Malfoy said. Malfoy went back to reading his book, and Harry picked up his pencil to draw. After an hour... After about an hour... What happened? After about an hour, Malfoy glanced over to see what Harry was drawing and gasped. Harry had sketched a quick drawing... did you hear that? A quick drawing of Hermione, but it looked amazing. He had gotten every single detail in. He was using several shades of brown in color for her hair, and he looked up at Malfoy's gasp. And there's a picture, and I will use the picture. But not right now. What? He asked. That's really good, Potter. Harry beamed. Hold on a second. Harry beamed. Thank you. Why are you drawing Granger? Harry shrugged. I draw a lot of people. Hermione, Ron, McGonagall, Snape, Neville, Dean, basically anyone I think of. Malfoy was impressed. Malfoy? Harry starts. How did you know I was right-handed? Oh! Malfoy grins. You weren't the only one stalking someone in sixth year. Harry laughs and gently sat the drawing and his pencil down on the nightstand. We should go to sleep. Malfoy nodded and set his book down. Good night, good night, Potter. Good night, Malfoy. Harry fell asleep quickly, and dreams came true to him. Draco smirks at something Harry had said. You're ridiculous, Potter. I don't know why I find you so attractive. Harry presses up against him, his breathing shallow. Then I suppose I'll have to get rid of any doubts you have. Draco's breathing speeds up. His eyes flicker to Harry's lips, and then back up to his eyes. That's all Harry needs. He slams the blonde against the wall and covering his hot mouth with his own. Draco arches his back again, exposing his throat. Harry presses up. Oh, I can read. Presses open. What? Open-mouthed kisses along his jawline. Draco moans breathlessly. Harry, fuck. Harry runs his hand through Draco's hair, wrapping strands around his fingers and tugging. Draco moans louder. Fuck, Draco. Potter. Oh, darn it. The stupid ad's playing. Well, let's just talk, shall we? But, there. Fuck it. Get out of my way. There we go. I'm done. No, I'm not done with you guys, but... Potter! Harry woke up with a jolt. The room was bathed in morning light. Malfoy's wide gaze eyes was staring at Harry in horror. No! What happened? No, I need to know. Chapter 7. Gay. Uh-oh. Day 2. Potter! Malfoy pushed Harry hard. Get you and your bloody boner off of me! It took Harry a moment to realize he was laying on top of Malfoy. It's hard on pressing into the blonde's hip. The second he realized this, he shot off of Malfoy. Shit, I'm sorry. Malfoy snorted. Whatever. He leaned close, smirking. Who was it? Harry blushed. Who was who? Oh, come on, Potter. I'm not an idiot. You were moaning, practically thrusting against me. I repeat, who was it? Harry blushes darker. No one. Come on. Was it the Weaselette? What? No. Harry scrunched up his nose at the thought. Granger? No. One of the Paddle twins? No. Both the Paddle twins? No. Weasley? You already asked that. No, I mean your best friend, Weasley. You think I'm gay? Harry was stunned. Malfoy shrugged. Malfoy? He persisted. No. Thomas, not my type. Blaze? Harry stared at him. Your best friend? Malfoy shrugged again. He's pretty damn hot. Malfoy, are you gay? Incredibly so. Harry blinked. He hadn't expected such a calm answer. Are you gay, Potter? Harry stared at his hands for a minute, and then looked up at Malfoy in horror. I think I might be. It's like a horror movie. I think I might be the killer. My Bloody Valentine, 2006, if I'm correct. Chapter 8, Breakfast. How exciting. Exciting. I didn't mean to do that. But, how exciting, Malfoy drawled. I'd love to continue this stimulating conversation, but it's time for breakfast. Food? Harry said, sitting up. Why didn't you say so? Because we were having a very interesting conversation about your sexuality, Malfoy said calmly. Harry flushed. Shut up and get dressed. And they did. With lots of defendos and reparos, and awkwardly looking away from each other. When Harry and Malfoy stepped into the Great Hall, The ripple of whispers ran through the great hall. Malfoy? Harry murmured in the blondie's ear. Malfoy looked at him. Where are we sitting? Harry whispered. We'll sit at the Gryffindor for breakfast and Slytherin for dinner. Okay? Malfoy muttered in reply. Deal. Harry walked over to the Gryffindor table, smiling. Hey, guys. Harry! Ginny wrapped her arms around the boy, eliciting a scream from both boys. Malfoy almost fell over. Ginny drew back, her arms lightening fast. What happened? She shrieked. Oh, gosh, Harry Malfoy, I'm so sorry. I told everyone in Gryffindor, but Ginny wasn't there. What wasn't here for what? What happened? Are you okay? Ginny asked, desperate to find out what was wrong. Harry and Malfoy can't be touched. It burns the both of them. Hermione explained quickly. Professor McGonagall stood. If I could have everyone's attention, please. The Great Hall silenced. We all know of Mr. Malfoy and Mr. Potter's predicament. A potions incident called them to fuse together both their hands. For the next 10 weeks, the two cannot be touched on the skin, or it will burn both of them. Please refrain from touching the pair as best you can, unless it is on a cloth area. Thank you. Harry and Malfoy both breathed a sigh of relief and sat down. Harry stared at his plate in slight distress. As he was started right-handed, it was going to be hard. It was going to be very difficult to do this. Clumsily, he reached for the orange juice with his left hand and almost knocked it over. Malfoy rolled his eyes and grabbed it. He calmly poured some for Harry and some for himself. Neither one noticed the shocked stares they got as Malfoy continued to help Harry put food on his plate. That's just teamwork, bitch. What are you so afraid about? I'll be right back. Hold on a second.
Hey guys, I'm back. I was, when I felt sleepy, I went to bed. So that's why I said, hold on a minute, I'm going to come back. I started recording this part at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Now it's midnight for Wednesday. Right when I was done editing my video, I noticed that when I was trying to put in my audio, it wouldn't let me edit. So then when I tried to edit, it deleted all that I edited. So I have to redo I forgot which part I'm at, but I think it's the start of Special Secrets, which is, hold on. Fuck's sake. It's Secrets Out, Chapter 9. Hermione and Ron were allowed to skip their first class to be with Harry. They caught up to him after breakfast. Hey, Harry, Ron called cheerfully to his best friend. After a moment's hesitation, his smile turned to Malfoy. Hey, Malfoy. Hey, Ron, Harry replied, just as cheerfully. Malfoy seemed in a shock that Ron would address him in such a friendly manner, but repeated the greeting. Harry, how are you holding up? Hermione said, her eyes flickering to Harry and Malfoy's joined hands. Fine, Harry replied calmly. Are you sure? She persisted. Why wouldn't he be? Harry asked, laughing slightly. I haven't tried to murder him yet. Well, Hermione replied, Harry kind of doesn't like people touching him. Harry and Ron shot her a look, but she didn't seem to see it. Why not? Malfoy laughed. Your aunt and uncle not give you enough hugs? Harry squeezed his eyes shut. These flashbacks are going to be very triggering, like I said in the first part of this video. When I interrupt it with my future self. This is another future self saying that this will trigger you if you are not careful. So, literally be aware. Fast forward about 15 seconds, maybe even more. I'll put up the time number on the thing, which is how many minutes, or seconds. Harry and Ron shot her a look, but she didn't seem to see it. Why not? Malfoy laughed. Your aunt and uncle not give you enough hugs? Harry squeezed his eyes shut. Filthy little freak! Petunia's hand crashed across his cheek. What's the matter, Potter? Sorry, I said it like Malfoy. Sorry, I just laughed. I was just making fun of myself, being a stupid head. Dudley jeered before he threw another punch. His friends laughed. By the way, if you can't handle this, don't watch this part or this video, because this will get dark from this next sentence. Now, boy, remember the rules. Vernon growled, unbuckling his belt. Hot tears ran down Harry's face. Stay quiet and it will hurt less. I'm sure you had an absolute lavish lifestyle at home, Malfoy continued. No one bothered to ask why there were bruises on his cheek, his thighs, and his arms. No one heard his screams of desperation into his pillow, his sobbing late at night. Harry snorted at Malfoy's comment. Malfoy frowned. What, wasn't your childhood perfect? These dishes were supposed to be clean, Petunia shrieked, grabbing Harry's face and shoving it under the soapy water until he almost drowned. Harry remained silent. He absolutely didn't want Malfoy to know. Harry was beaten. Something that rhymes with wrapped, or just take off the W and the other P. Tortured and starved for 10 years, Hermione answered calmly. Harry and Ron whipped around, staring at her. Hermione! Ron shouted. What? She asked innocently. He asked. That doesn't mean you have to tell him, Harry screamed. But, Hermione blinked, he asked. Now is not the time for you to obsessive need to answer every question. You absolute know-it-all, Harry cried. You just gave away Harry's most closest guarded secret. The one he didn't want anyone to know, that he entrusted to us, with the promise we wouldn't tell anyone. And gave it to his worst enemy, Ron yelled. Hermione shrugged. Sorry, but if you ask me, it was a valid question, and if you weren't going to answer it, I had to. Harry didn't really mean it, but in his whirlwind of emotions, rageful, upset, betrayed the words. That's how he felt. Because it was kind of... the words didn't mix well, so I'm just telling you that's how he felt. The words just spilled out of his mouth. He just said the first thing that came to mind, which happened to be Malfoy himself had said years ago. No one asked you, filthy little mudblood. Malfoy gapes. Hermione squeaks, and Ron's eyebrows raise. Harry tightens his grip on Malfoy's hand and drags him away. I'm going to tell you this as my ad plays for me for Nintendo Switch. What Hermione did was wrong, and there's no excuse for it. Okay? For what she did, it was just horrible. You don't do that to friends, no matter who asks, unless your friend says it's okay to tell them. then you tell them. You do not do this what Hermione did. It was horrible. I'm sorry. But you have to see it from their perspective. Harry didn't stop walking. Okay, chapter 10, explanation. Harry didn't stop walking until he reached their room. He sat on his side of the bed in a little ball, silently shaking for 5 minutes. Malfoy touched his shoulder gently. Potter, are you all right? Harry lifted his head and nodded calmly. That never happened. Potter, were you really... Malfoy couldn't seem to bring himself to finish the sentence. Yes, Harry said shortly. Then he sighed. I didn't want to tell anyone, but Hermione always knows when something's wrong, and she told Ron and then eventually slipped Veritaserum into my drink and made me tell them. That's awful. Malfoy looked outraged. They're your best friends. How could they? Harry sighed. It's all right. I was mad too, but I got over it. I made them swear never to speak of it or tell anyone. It was a secret I was going to take to my grave. Harry drops his head in his hand, miserable. Now you're going to tell the whole school. Why would I do that? Harry's head snapped up to stare at Malfoy. What do you mean? Of course you would. You hate me. Harry. Malfoy gave him a look. You're not the only one who had a tough childhood. I understand. I'm not gonna tell anyone. Harry smiled. Thanks, Malfoy. Malfoy nodded, and Harry laid back on the bed and quickly fell asleep, despite it being morning. Harry didn't notice two things. First, he didn't notice Malfoy had called him Harry. Second, he didn't see the burning rage Malfoy had in his eyes for Petunia, Vernon, and Dudley Dursley. The Dursleys of number 4 Privet Drive, I was going to call it Pervert Drive, and that would be make more sense, had no idea what they had messed with. Oh, honey, go after them. Beat their asses. Because sometimes when a kid is being abused, like what Harry was going through, the wife, sometimes even the son, would know what Vernon is doing to him. You know, how a kid should never be touched. So they're just as much as at fault for standing by and watching it happen. Unless it's being done to them, and it doesn't say that it has happened to them ever. So they are just keeping quiet and doing something like that. So never do that to others, please. Please, if you see something happen like that, contact authorities immediately, no matter who it is. Because I don't care if it's your uncle, someone you really truly love. You love them even more if you try to do the right thing for them. That was just my PSA, I guess. Hey guys, I'm going to be away for a few days, so consider this a parting gift. I'll be back either Sunday or Monday. Thanks so much for reading. I love you guys. Love, the Drarry Life. After chapter 11, Slytherins. Harry didn't wake up until 5 in the afternoon. He opened his eyes and sat up sleepily. Malfoy missed class, he cried, dropping his head in his hand. Then he lifted it. Wait, I don't have class today. Honestly, me every Saturday. That is true. That was the author's note a little bit. I mean, sometimes I do that, but it's mostly likely it's in the summer, and it's probably a weekday that it happens to me. He turned to look at Malfoy. Malfoy? The blonde was sleeping peacefully, his hair like a glowing halo in the sun. Harry so badly wanted to touch it. He carefully reached out with his left hand, trying desperately not to wake up the blonde. His finger barely touched the golden treasure, and then, when he was about to touch it, and he was so close to doing it. Malfoy stirred, and Harry jerked his hand away. Malfoy's gray eyes slowly opened to meet Harry's. He jumped. "Jeez, I'm frickin' Crow! Potter!" Harry jumped. "Sorry." Malfoy pulled back quickly. "Jeez, why was your face so close to mine?" Harry stuttered. Draco sighed. "Never mind. What time is it?" 5, Harry muttered. "Oh, good." Malfoy sat up. We can get ready for dinner." Harry nodded quietly and sat up too. Potter?" Malfoy's voice was unsure. Harry turned. "Yeah? If you ever, need to, talk about it, I guess I'm here." Harry was shocked but smiled. "Thanks, Malfoy." The blonde nodded. Harry stretched carefully not to move their joined hands. Sorry. That came out of nowhere. Malfoy scooted off the bed, and Harry followed. They both took a deep breath and walked out the door. They didn't get as many stairs walking into the Great Hall this time, but whispers sparked as they sat at the Slytherin table. "Hey, Potter," Pansy said as she poured herself some pumpkin juice. "Also, is there any pumpkin juice in the U.S.? I've always heard it from a book that is based in the UK, but never in a U.S. Like something based in the U.S. But whatever. I just wanted to see if there's other places that drink pumpkin juice. I just never heard of it in the U.S. That's why I asked a question. Want me to pour you some? I don't want you to knock over the jug." Harry's eyes raised in surprise, but he nodded. "That'd be really helpful, thanks." "Sure, I gotta yawn." "That'd be really helpful, thanks." She nodded and filled his cup. Blaise gestured at the table. What do you want?" "We'll get it for you." Whatever's fine," Harry mumbled, embarrassed. Instantly, about 5 Slytherins started working on getting food for him to eat until his plate was full. Malfoy smirked as he took a bite of his roast beef. "Why are you being so nice to me?" Harry asked quietly. Pansy smirked at him. But it wasn't a cold, mocking smirk. It seemed more playful. "Well, since you're conjoined to our dear Draco, you're an honorary Slytherin for the next 10 weeks. Slytherins are all about loyalty. We don't want a fellow Slytherin to starve from not being able to use his right hand." Harry smiled. "Thank you. I'm honored." This earned him grins from other Slytherins, and Harry ate his meal happily. Chapter 12. Drawing. Harry sighed loudly. "I'm bored." Malfoy glanced up from the book he was reading, using his conjoined hands to hold it. "So, do something. Draw." Harry thought about it and shrugged. He pulled out his notebook and pencil and stared at his paper. He stayed like that for about 30 seconds before muttering, "I don't know what to draw." Malfoy turned a page in his book. "Draw a person." "But who?" "I don't know," Malfoy replied, not paying attention. Harry sighed and paused. He turned around. Malfoy studying him. His pencil flew across the paper, shading and drawing and blending and erasing. Draco's POV. Draco wondered what Harry had finally decided to draw and turned toward him to see. He gasped, "Holy shit, Potter!" Potter glanced up. Flushed at Draco's expression. Draco's eyes scanned over the paper. "That's amazing!" Potter blushed crimson. Thank you. Draco studied the drawing. It was a side view of Draco. It was kind of dark, but so was Draco. It was incredible. Sorry, there's an ad playing. So help me. Hold on. Come on. Nintendo's like flushing out all these ads. Chapter 13. Breakfast with Slytherins. Day 3. This day, when Harry woke up, it was much more peaceful than the day before. Malfoy was already awake and reading a book. When Harry woke, he could tell that the other boy was trying to move their conjoined hand as slowly as possible, so as not to wake him. Morning, Harry murmured, sitting up next to Malfoy. Malfoy barely looked up. Morning. So we still have 4 days until we go back to classes, Harry mentioned. What should we do? Malfoy sighed slightly, and set down his book. I've been thinking about that too. I know we're going to breakfast with Gryffindors, and on Wednesdays I usually go to Hogsmeade with my friends. But we can't do that. We could do whatever you do on Wednesdays, or just sit around here. Harry frowned slightly. Actually, could we eat breakfast with the Slytherins today? I don't really want to... Harry trailed off, but Malfoy immediately understood it and nodded. Of course, Potter. No more words were exchanged, and the two got ready and left their room. They entered the great hall, and this time only got a few stairs. Everyone still seemed to think it was ironic, but it wasn't really news anymore. Harry and Malfoy sat down at the table, and Pansy immediately started making a plate for Harry, whilst Blaise made one for Malfoy. Thank you, Harry said grateful, as Pansy set the plate and a cup in front of him. She gave him a genuine smile. Anytime, Potter. Any particular reason you're at our table for today? I thought you sat with the Gryffindors for this meal. Harry tensed immediately. Malfoy seemed to notice and spoke for him. I think even St. Potter needs a break from his followers every once in a while. Pansy frowned, unsatisfied with this answer, but seemed to notice how tense Harry was, and instantly shut her mouth. Harry was grateful. So, are we still on for Hogsmeade? She asked, and changing the subject. I need to buy some Christmas gifts for you assholes. The other Slytherins laughed lightly, but Malfoy just frowned. Actually, we'd love to, Harry cut in, as long as you're okay with a Gryffindor tagging along. Unfortunately, me and Malfoy, he lifted their joined hands to accentuate his point. We are a combined package. To his surprise, the Slytherins laughed, even Malfoy. Harry was stunned for a second. He had never heard Malfoy laugh a genuine laugh before, and it was sort of exhilarating. It was truly a lovely sound, and for one blissful moment, all Harry could think about was making Malfoy laugh like that again. That feeling disappeared a moment later, and Harry dragged himself back to the present. Yeah, sure, Potter, Pansy replied, all still smirking. This should be interesting. Who else is going? Malfoy raised their joined hands. Pansy raised hers. Almost instantly, Blaise's hand was shot in the air. Goyle's followed. Millicent casually rose her hand, along with Tabitha, Diane, and Felix. After a moment, Lucinda and Damon rose their hands too. Cool, Pansy said, dropping her hand. We leave in an hour. Regular meeting's place. The others nodded and began to disperse. Harry was still slightly baffled by the whole affair. Wow, this really does happen every Wednesday? Malfoy nodded as they headed to their room. Sometimes it's a smaller group, sometimes almost our whole house goes. It really depends on people's classes. If they have later classes, they usually come. But people who have morning classes usually can't, unless they decide to go later in the day. Harry was surprised. He didn't really know why, but he was. Come on, Malfoy tugged him along. We have an hour to get ready. Chapter 14. Harry punches a girl. 45 minutes later, Malfoy and Harry were rushing to the front doors of Hogwarts. Harry had no idea where they were meeting the Slytherins, but he was having fun running downstairs, Malfoy's hand in his. They burst through the front doors, and Malfoy pulled him towards a big oak tree, where they finally stopped. Felix, Goyle, Damon, and Lucinda were already there, but the others hadn't arrived yet, so they settled for sitting and talking. Harry got to know them a little better. Felix was a 7th year, a year younger than Harry, but with his attitude, you'd think he was an 8th year. He had short blonde hair, brown eyes, and a tan skin. He was kind of short, but he didn't take any shit for it. Goyle had gotten more muscular, and he was definitely more attractive, though still far from Harry's type. He did seem friendly enough, though, and was actually rather quiet. Damon was really attractive. He had swept brown hair, and brown eyes to match. He had pale skin and a sharp jawline. Lucinda, Damien's twin, was also attractive. She had slightly darker brown hair, pale skin, and blue eyes. She was thin and didn't talk much. Her brother was outspoken enough for the both of them. They talked a bit while they waited, and Felix kept them all entertained with silly stunts and awful jokes. He had them laughing within minutes. Tabitha and Diane showed up minutes later and greeted everyone. Tabitha was something else. She was loud and energetic and sarcastic. Within 2 minutes, her and Felix were arguing about which of them would beat up the other in a fight, which resulted in the two actually fighting, which was still going on as Harry met Diane. Diane didn't really seem to like Harry much. The second he introduced himself, her nose turned up, and she said, "I know who you are, idiot. Everyone knows who you are." "Hey, Di, cool it," Malfoy spoke up suddenly. Both Diane and Harry turned to him, shocked. "I'm shocked. I'm stuck with him for 10 weeks, which is bad enough without you putting him in a pissy mood," he added. Diane rolled her eyes. "So you think now that you two are buddies, I have to like him too? I don't think so, Dre. I'm not buddies. We're not buddies, and don't call me Dre." "We're not buddies, and don't call me Dre," Malfoy said with a bitter edge in his voice. Harry chose to stay quiet, and then Millicent, Pansy, and Blaise showed up. "Then why are you defending him?" Diane shouted. "You hate him, so as much as the rest of us do. Die, chill, Pansy said as she joined the group. He's literally stuck with him all the time. Wouldn't you try to get along with someone you're stuck with for 10 weeks? Not if the person is someone I hate, Diane cried. Diane! Blaze's voice was sharp. Babe, what is your problem? We just wanted to have a good day. At least for the next 10 weeks, Potter is an honorary Slytherin. They're loyal to their own. So now even my boyfriend is against me? Diane yelled. That scum, he's not one of us. He'll never be one of us. He's just a low-life, attention-seeking Gryffindor dick. Die, Tabitha shouted. Cool it. Take it back. No, Diane shouted. He's not a Slytherin. He doesn't deserve my respect. And you know what, Draco? You may as well be a Gryffindor too. You may as well be a fucking mudblood. Malfoy stilled at the word. In fact, everyone stilled. Die, Lucinda whispered, her voice soft and quiet. We don't use that word ever. Fuck off, Lucy. Diane growled. Shut your gosh forsaken mudblood mouth. You're all filthy scum for even being around him. Especially you, Draco. I bet you tried to hold his hand. I bet you wanted to. I bet you're a fucking faggot. And you wanted to be glued to him. Is that what you are, Draco? Harry could feel Malfoy shaking next to him. Somehow he had a feeling he hadn't told anyone yet. Diane's eyes were wider, angrier now. You are, aren't you? You're a fucking fag. That word was cut off by Harry punching her in the mouth. It sent a sting through his hand to touch her, but it was worth it. Diane stumbled back, shocked. Don't you ever use that word again, Harry said. You little bitch, Diane shrieked. Sorry. Launching herself at him. Lucinda, shockingly enough, knocked Diane out of the air by throwing herself at her. What is wrong with you? The normal quiet girl said. Don't you know what happens if you touch them? Lucinda shook her head. I'm going to take her to the hospital wing. I swear, she's not usually like this. Her eyes met Harry's. It was nice meeting you, Harry. As she walked away, there was dead silence, which was broken by Felix falling on the ground laughing. They stared at him, shocked. He tried to speak, words gasping out between laughter. She was just so shocked, and she was all, you fucking, and then you bam, Felix mimicked, throwing a punch, and then collapsed into giggles again. Tabitha face split into a grin, and then she too was giggling. Damon and Melissa joined in on the laughter. Soon enough, everyone except Harry and Malfoy were laughing. Harry leaned over and murmured in Malfoy's ear, You all right? Malfoy thought about it for a minute before his face split into a genuine smile. Yeah, I think I am. Felix, ever so energetically, hopped up. All right, let's go shopping. Oh, my word. For the love of everything, no. Okay, we got this, right? Hold on a minute. Sorry, I had to look something up for a second, but... Chapter 15, Shopping. The group walked for a while in silence, nothing to say to each other. But as they reached Hogsmeade, Felix turned back to the group with a wide smile on his face. All right, Harry and Draco are obviously already paired, but who's with who otherwise? Damon shrugged. I was actually thinking of going and getting Lucinda. There's an uneven amount of us anyways. Goyle shook his head. I'll go get her. You go shopping. Damon grinned at him. You sure? Goyle nodded and headed off. Felix shrugged. Okay. Well, me and Tabitha are together as usual. I'm going with Pansy, Blaze added. Millicent grinned at Damon. I guess that leaves you and me. He smiled back at her. I suppose it does. 2 hours, Pansy said. See you all soon. They all split up and headed in their own separate directions. Can we go to Honeyduke's first? Malfoy asked. I need to buy sweets for Pansy. She'll kill me if she doesn't get chocolate. Harry laughed. Of course. They stepped in, and instantly the smell of chocolate and caramel and deliciousness filled Harry's senses. He breathed in deeply, smiling. Malfoy pulled him over to the chocolate section. With some careful handling, they managed to get chocolate in a bag and brought it to the counter, along with a few other items. At least the lady at the counter didn't look at them. She just started ringing their purchase. When she looked up, she gasped, Harry Potter, in my shop? Her voice was full of awe. Yeah, Harry replied, a sarcastic edge to his voice. It's not like I go to Hogwarts, come down like every other student. Malfoy snorted, which brought the lady's attention to him, which then dropped down to their conjoined hands. Oh, she said, a clear hint of disgust in the shock of her tone. I didn't know you two were not. Malfoy cut her off swiftly. It was a potion mistake. Would you have something against it if we were? Harry asked, irritated. Are you homophobic? No, it's just, the lady started, clearly worked up. What? Harry asked, clearly angry. What is it? Potter. Malfoy tugged his hand, but Malfoy stood firmly. He is a Death Eater, the woman protested. He's not worthy of you. Harry instantly stood a little taller, towering over the woman. She cowered below him, clearly frightened. He's not a Death Eater. He's a kid who wasn't given a choice. Furthermore, he is not more or less worthy than me. I am a person as is he, and we have both done bad, but also good. We both have the worthiness of your average person. You, however, are not worthy of anyone for being such a close-minded bitch. And with that, Harry grabbed their stuff, turned around, and marched out. The second they were out the door, Malfoy pulled him to the side. What was that? He asked, shocked, clearly written all over his face. That was me standing up for us. Malfoy blinked at the word us. You didn't have to do that. No, I didn't, Harry said cheerfully. Come on. I need to get, Miney some books. Malfoy shook his head, smiling and following after him. They stopped into the bookstore where Harry noticed Damon and Millicent were also in there. Damon turned around and brightly smiled at them. Hey, Harry! Hey, Draco! Harry smiled back at his warm greeting. Hi, Damon. Hi, Millicent. Fancy seeing you here. Millicent
Sorry. Millicent laughed. Please, don't call me Millicent. I hate that name. Just call me Millie. And that's what I'm going to call her from now on. Because I'm going to mess up on her name so much. Okay. I'm going to turn around because my hip hurts. Ugh. For laying on it too long. Okay. Oh, this is so much better. Harry grinned. Will do. What are you guys looking for? Harry smirked at him, drawing Harry's attention back to him. I'm looking for a book for my mother, and Millie's looking for something to buy herself. Millie laughed with Harry. What about you? Damon continued. His brown eyes glittering with mischief as he stared at Harry. What are you here for? I'm getting a few books for my friend Hermione, Harry replied casually. Yeah, so we should get those now, Malfoy said, irritation clearly in his voice. Oh yeah, Harry said, frowning slightly. He smiled brightly at Millie and Damon. See you guys around. They both grinned and went to ring up their purchases. Harry turned to Malfoy as they reached the shelves. Are you okay? Malfoy frowned. Yeah, I just have stuff to get, and we can't waste our 2 hours talking. Harry shrugged. Okay. 2 hours later, the pair loaded down the shopping bags and met the others at their original spot. Glad to see everyone's alive, Pansy joked. Goyle's glad to see you and Lucinda went shopping too. Lucinda smiled softly. All right, Pansy clapped her hands. Vicky, a small house elf appeared next to her. Yes, mistress. Harry was about to open his mouth, but Pansy shook her head and laughed. What have I told you about the mistress thing? Vicky, it's Pansy. Vicky nodded. How may I assist you? Would you mind bringing these to my room? Pansy asked, holding up her bags. Vicky gave her a bright smile and popped away with Pansy's bags. When they appeared again, Pansy handed her a chocolate bar. I appreciate the assistance, Vicky. Thank you. Vicky bowed, smiling before disappearing. Harry was stunned, but then noticed the others were also calling house elves, so he joined in. Wait, Dobby's still alive? What? Is this before or after the war? I'm so confused. Because, yeah. Anyways, let's keep going. The house elf appeared before him. How may Dobby help you, Master Potter? Harry sighed at the nickname. It's Harry, Dobby, and can you bring mine and Malfoy's bags to our room? Dobby bowed. Dobby would be delighted, Master Potter. Anything else? Harry shook his head, smiling. No, thank you, Dobby. Dobby bowed again before taking his bags and disappearing. It took a moment to realize Malfoy was staring at him. What? You had him take my bags too? Without even thinking about it. You keep referring to everyone as ours and us, and you stand up for me. It feels like we're starting to become one person. Harry flushed. I didn't even think about it. I'm sorry. Malfoy shook his head and laughed. Pansy clapped her hands. All right, drinks. They all went to the three broomsticks and got a booth. They ordered their drinks and all right, Harry. I figure we should probably let you know what's happening since you've only recently become an honorary Slytherin, Pansy said, grinning. Harry raised an eyebrow at the brunette. Do tell. So, usually when we have a shopping day, we skip classes for the whole day. Usually a few people leave after getting drinks because they want to go to class. But a few of us with all will always stay. We go shopping, get drinks, and then we go back to Hogwarts and go to the room of requirement and play some stupid party game for a while. Sometimes a dance. And some nights after that, we have a study group for our classes in the common room. Now, if you don't want to do that, I respect your choice. You and Dre can go to your room after drinks, and we don't judge you. Harry grinned. That sounds awesome. If Draco's down for it, I'm down. Malfoy made a gagging noise. Don't ever call me Draco again. It sounded so weird coming from you. And yeah, I'm down. I didn't even realize I called you Draco, Harry laughed. Before anyone could reply, Madame Rosmerta set down their drinks in front of them. Here you go, kids. Felix grinned at her. Why, thank you, darling, he said, winking at her. She laughed. You're very welcome, Felix. Enjoy, guys. Felix watched her as she walked away. Damn, I'd tap that. Tabitha snorted. You'd tap anything with a heartbeat and opposable thumbs. No way, Felix argued. I wouldn't tap a monkey. They don't have opposable thumbs, do they? I thought monkeys don't have opposable thumbs, really. Maybe I'm thinking of something else, like a chimpanzee. Something else. I'm sorry. I wouldn't tap a monkey or you, though I guess it's the name thing. It's the same thing. The rest of the group cracked up as Tabitha gaped at him. You little bitch, she yelled playfully, jumping over the table and tackling him to the ground. Guys, Madame Rose, I'm going to call her, said calmly, not really seemed worried. The two wrestled for a few minutes before Tabitha had Felix pinned down, unable to move. Surrender, she shouted, laughing. Felix was squirming, but he couldn't really do much. Never, he protested. Tabitha raised an eyebrow and started tickling him until Felix was gasping for air. Okay, he laughed. I give up. I surrender. Tabitha grinned at him and swooped down, kissing his nose playfully before rolling off him. Joining the rest of them at the table, Felix joined shortly after. Soon after the group had all finished their drinks, they started heading back to Hogwarts. Harry, lost of happiness, started lost in happiness, started swinging his and Malfoy shared hands. Malfoy looked at him amused. What are you doing, Potter? Come on. I'm having fun. Have a little fun, Dre. Malfoy's laugh was beautiful and started swinging his hand too. Got a boy back home in Michigan. It takes like tastes like Jack when I'm kissing him. Pansy sang suddenly, bright and happy. So I told him that I never really liked his friends. Now he's gone and called me a bitch again. Tabitha joined in happily. He's a guy that lives in a garden state, and he told me that we'll make it till we graduate. Harry sang along. So I told him the music would be worth the wait, but he wants me in the kitchen with a dinner plate. I believe that we're meant to be. Lucinda and Damon sang the same time. But jealousy gets best on me, Felix shouted. Look, I don't mean to frustrate, but Blaze added, always make the same mistakes. Yeah, Goyle sang along loudly. Always make the same mistakes, 'cause Millie joined. I'm bad at love. They all sang at the same time. Ooh! Lucinda and Damon sang laughing. But you can't blame me for trying. Draco and Felix sang. You know I'd be lying saying. Millie sang, you're the one. They all shouted. That could finally fix me. Looking at my history. Harry sang. I'm bad at love. Draco sang happily. They managed to sing the whole song by the time they reached the room of requirements. Pansy smiled and opened the door. Welcome to our getaway, Harry Potter. Okay, we will end it there. But, okay, how do we get this? Okay. Oh my, it's a lot longer than I thought. Okay, guys, we're gonna end it here. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't yet. Put on push notifications. And be happy, be healthy, and always be loving. Also, my thing.
Read your email from Nicole.
So, bye-bye.
Read it out loud.
From Reach.
Yes, from Reach. Read it out loud.
Sasha. Congratulations, Aurora. You've been chosen to receive a Reach Scholar of $1,000 for college. Oh, for state college. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
The scholarship amount will be sent directly to your university, so we don't have to. We don't have to worry about it.
Nope.